Hi, my name is Patrick. This specific video should tell you about different strategies that can be used to ace con section of the CAT. So we'll be discussing strategies. What strategy can you follow? In the end, it's all about experimentation. You start with a strategy, see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. These are some of the strategies. There are many more strategies which you can follow. Just to give you guidance with regards to. And we do run classes for the MBA entrance exam. So let's go to each strategy straight away. First strategy, which I normally recommend students to start with. Okay, go through all the questions in first 6 minutes. That means don't try to solve any question. Just read it and just mark them in as easy, moderate, and tough. Now, why do I recommend this strategy? I recommend because it helps you to leave questions quickly. So when you say 6 minutes means you have 15 seconds per question. That means within 15 seconds you read and mark them as easy, medium, tough before you go to the next question. Okay, that helps because if you're able to identify tough questions quickly and able to leave it, you'll have more questions to solve the easier ones. Yes, the timing could change. If you're a person who normally solves only 3, 4 questions in the exam, maybe you can take instead of 6, you can take 10 minutes to go through all the questions. Go slowly, mark questions which are easy and but yes, if you're a person who's solving maybe 11, 12 questions as such, then I would recommend you to keep the 6 minutes. So modify based on your comfort level. Okay, and also ensure that number of questions you mark easy should be less than number of questions you usually solve. So I solve maybe only 4 questions or 5 questions in the exam, which means number of questions I mark easy should be less than 5 because I need to go through all the easy questions and come back to the moderate ones. That's the basic idea behind it. Because if you mark too many questions as easy, you may solve the initially easy questions, but you may leave out on the later easy questions, which could be maybe much easier. Okay. So when you come back in the second round, solve all the easier questions which are there, right? And then moderate question in the third row. That's what you need to look at. There's only one problem in this particular strategy is that if you spend too much time in the first round, that means marking that easy, moderate, tough, it could lead to additional stress which happens. See if you can avoid that stress level. If you can avoid it, this is a good strategy to follow. But anyway, start with the strategy. Figure out how it works for you. Start 2, 3 mocks with this strategy, and then decide. Okay, is it okay? Not okay. As I said, one of the best learning that is there from this strategy is how to leave tough question. Identify correctness of the question and leave or solve. Initially, you may go wrong in the selection of question or marking the question. But over a period of time, as and when you practice more of this, you should be able to become better at it. Right? So start with this. Second, it removes that problem of getting stressed with when people go to all the questions and they see 10 minutes up, they get stressed. So modify the strategy a bit, saying that okay, solve half the paper in 3 minutes. If full paper 6 minutes, so only 11 questions. Read or 11 questions in 3 minutes. Say may mark the question as easy, moderate, tough. Okay. Solve the easy questions from the first half, and then go to next half of the paper and again mark easy, moderate, tough. Solve the easy questions from the second half, and then go to the entire paper and solve the moderate question that you marked. Okay. The idea is it reduces that whole problem of spending too much time in the first half and creating additional pressure. Obviously, you can modify the strategy further and say that I'll go to 5 questions first in the first 2 minutes and then pick up the easy questions from there. That is also perfectly all right. You can modify the strategy. As I said, key is to experiment and see what works, what doesn't work. Every strategy you try, after the strategy, you figure out the strategy, see how it has worked, how it has not worked. But don't try strategy only once. At least try it for 3 mocks. Because first time when you try, there is a chance that it may go wrong because you're trying something new. So it's good to try for 2 or 3 attempts before you actually finalize or remove the strategy. Strategy 3. First round solve only the easy questions. Now here I'm not going to all the questions. I'm just picking up the easy questions and trying to solve. Okay. Okay. Then the remaining questions which I leave, I'll mark them as moderate or tough. I solve the easy question, but I leave the moderate or tough questions. In the second round, when I come back, I'll solve the moderate questions. Okay. Here it leaves out the first round where I'm going to all the questions. Okay. The problem in this is you could end up attempting too many questions round one because you're trying to read each question, and if you're not able to, will tend to try to solve more questions, saying, "Oh, this is possible to solve. This is possible to solve." So there is a chance that you may end up attempting too many questions in round one, which means you may not be able to go through all the questions. You may leave out the last few questions. Second problem out here is it could take longer time to leave questions. In the first strategy, we should just read and leave the question. Tough or easy. Here you're trying to solve each question. The moment you try to solve each question, it takes a longer time to try to solve each question. And therefore it may take a longer time to leave questions. See what works, what doesn't work, and Try to figure it out how it helps. Fourth strategy, this is what students would normally score really high. I mean, most of them do this strategy, but I only recommend this only for people who score really high. Try solving every question that comes from first to last. Okay, so you start solving questions. The reason I don't recommend this strategy to everyone is because the moment you try solving, you already wasted a time. Half a minute, 1 minute is already wasted. And if you end up leaving a lot of questions, a lot of time gets wasted. But yes, people who score a very high percentile tend to not leave too many questions, which basically means that you can afford to spend extra time on the question that you leave, because that may not be too many questions anyway. So try solving all the questions from first to last. Leave the questions if you find it time consuming or tough. So I start finding a question, I say, oh, I'm not able to understand how to solve. Leave it immediately. Don't waste time on questions that you find uh, tough, or which you find not able to understand. Don't try to solve all the questions. Learn to leave questions which are tough or time consuming. And then once you finish the first round in 30-35 minutes, come back to the second round for the questions that you feel you have left us, etc. And the strategy for 99 plus percent. So the key anyway in the end is experiment with the strategy. Okay. What we have mentioned strategy is what you can start with, but it's very important to modify the strategy a bit, experiment and see what works, what doesn't work. Discuss with your friends, maybe try on your own and see. But ensure that you keep experimenting. Even if you're comfortable with a strategy, keep experimenting. You know which strategy will help you to improve your scores. So keep experimenting. You will know yourself better in terms of what works, what doesn't work. Also, recommendation is you always have a main strategy, but if that doesn't work, have an alternate strategy in place, just in case. I mean, suppose the paper suddenly come tough, have a strategy in place. What if the paper come easy? Have a strategy in place. Need to have different strategies for different scenarios. So be comfortable with that. Right? Hope this helps. We'll come up with more videos that will help you. Thank you.